cold at the touch, dead in the eyes, no signs of life no more. I put your love under the knife, leave me to die here all alone. No signs of life no more, no. A crying dove may never fly. Black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh, 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 oh. It's black and white. Just let me go, it's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. Just let me go, it's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. White, white, white. Black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh, 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 oh. It's black and white. Black and white.
Well, good evening everyone, and welcome back to the World Touring Car Challenge presented to you by Crest Autosport and NXTGEN Racing. Tonight, on the 25th of November, we descend into the final quarter of the season. This championship brought to you by the two organisations Crest Autosport and NXTGEN Racing, proudly sponsored by Apex Tracks, the prize givers for this championship. The winner of the championship will take away a prize donated by Apex Tracks, a model sculpture of the Nordschleife, crafted from modern F1 technology by Apex Tracks themselves. And a huge thank you to the other partners and affiliates of NXTGEN Racing and Crest Autosport that include PowerMax Racing, Track Racer, Fast R, 603 Autosport and Joyce Design. Tonight, we are in Shanghai, in China, the Jiading district in Shanghai, less than a kilometre from the east coast of China, the Yellow Sea, yellow being my favourite colour, so that's appropriate. Shanghai is a 12-hour drive south of the capital of Beijing, 1,200 kilometres from the host of the 2008 Olympics. And this track at Shanghai was a $450 million project built in 2004. And the layout of the circuit was inspired from the Chinese character Shang, the first character in the name Shanghai. We are racing on the intermediate layout of Shanghai today, 2.8 miles or 4.6 kilometres. And on RaceRoom it costs £2.53 to buy. This track, I've counted, has 11 turns, although the track officially has 16 on the Grand Prix layout and 15 on this layout. Hosted over the years, well, it's hosted many of Formula 1 Grand Prix since 2005. And will be back to host the Formula 1 next season onward. And hosted over the years, it has hosted the World Touring Car Championship Race of China from 2012 to 2016. The series have venued a lot since China's inception into the series, but Shanghai hosted 5 years of the World Touring Car Championship. Speaking of the World Touring Car Championship, that's what we are racing tonight. From 3 years of World Touring Car racing, the Chevrolet Cruze, the Honda Civic, the Lada Vesta, the Volvo S60 Polestar. 4 manufacturers on offer today. We'll only see 3 today as no one's opted for the Volvo in the field, but the Chevrolet, Honda and Lada are available to the choice of the drivers. On-board lap of Shanghai as we tail off the introduction here tonight. We have got plenty of racing in store for you. 15 minutes qualifying is coming up in just over 5 minutes time, and that will follow almost immediately with a 15-minute sprint race. Race 2 will follow almost immediately after race 1 with a small intermission. It will be another 15-minute sprint race where it will be a reverse of the top 10 finishes from race 1. There will be a longer intermission in between races 2 and 3, but we're usually within about 10 to 15 minutes. Race 3 is on, and it will be a 25-minute feature race that today will probably be a full reverse grid. So, over an hour's worth of competitive driving, and as we mentioned, this is the latter part of the season now, the final quarter. We started off all them weeks, all them months ago at Monza in Italy. Round 2 of the championship was hosted at Paul Ricard in France. Round 3 was hosted at Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. The Slovakia Ring in Slovakia hosted round 4. The Hungary Ring for round 5. Salzburg Ring in Austria hosted round 6 of the championship. Moscow in Russia hosted round 7, with round 8 we're jumping over the pond, over the Atlantic to the USA for the Sonoma Raceway. Twin Ring Motegi last week hosted round 9, and what a round it was. It was great battling from the field in that round. It's been great battling for much of the season, but last week at Motegi, if you get a chance to rewatch it after tonight, go do so. It was a great round to watch. But tonight we're at Shanghai, a much different breed of track to those we have seen already. A very long straight, 1.2 kilometers straight, sweeping corners, and a very, very fast track, which we might see favour the faster horsepower cars such as the Honda and the Lada. Chevrolet a big advantage on the corners though, particularly turn 1, which just goes on and on forever. It's an over 270 degree corner is turn 1. But next week we are off to Thailand for the Chang Circuit, aka known as Everitt Raceway. And the final round will be hosted at the Nordschleife, the 24-hour layout hosting the final round of the championship, a track that actually started a lot of the World Touring Car grid when it was first introduced in 2012, but it's gone on to be a legacy. The Race of Germany hosted at Nordschleife, and it will host our final round of the championship here on the World Touring Car Challenge. We join the live action here at Shanghai. A little bit more housekeeping before we get into the nitty-gritty of what's going on. A little bit of a recap of last week at the Twin Ring Motegi. Lee Horne took the pole position, only his second of the season I believe, so good job from him, with David Kernohan, his closest championship rival, taking second, Jamie Dorey, teammate of Lee Horne, taking third. But it was Jamie Dorey who would take the race win honours, jumping ahead of Lee Horne, and Jeff Perkis coming through to take a podium position away from David Kernohan, who made a mistake earlier on in the race, spinning and falling down the order. But a reverse grid favoured David Kernohan for race 2 as he went on to win a dominating drive in race 2. Jamie Dorey from 10th on the grid went up to second position to take the runners-up spot in race 2, and Jeff Perkis with another P3 coming through the grid from 8th on the grid. And then race 3, Lee Horne really did set things alight. He did have a mishap in race 2 which set him down the order, and he managed to get himself to the front in race 3 to take the win. But a little bit of drama along the way. He did have a very random impromptu spin in race 3, but he was able to keep going and take the win in that race, with Jamie Dorey taking a three-peat of podiums, 2 seconds and a win. Fantastic performance from him, and David Kernohan getting another podium for third place in race 3. These 4 drivers that we see on here are our main championship protagonists now, with Lee Horne heading it by 20 points from David Kernohan, and only 9 points behind him is Jeff Perkis in third position. And then behind Jeff Perkis is Jamie Dorey on to 744 points, 58 points down from Lee Horne. Not quite out of reach, but it is going to be quite a climb for Jamie Dorey, but a driver of the day performance like what he did last week could help him in trying to get up higher in the standings. None of these drivers battling for the championship have won a Crest Autosport RaceRoom league in the past, but Lee Horne and Jamie Dorey are ex-NXTGEN Racing RaceRoom champions, and Jeff Perkis is an ex-NXTGEN Racing champion back in the console days. He's still looking for his first championship as a NXTGEN PC driver. So lots going on, and something to bear in mind with the championship standings, particularly the top 10, is it decides what ballast the drivers carry going into qualifying and the first 2 races. As we see, the man doing donuts there has got the most ballast, although it's not weighing him down in his donuts by here. 40 kilos carried by Lee Horne, and it runs down in increments of 4 across the top 10 in the championship. We also have a team's championship to track, and it is getting closer and closer for the top spot. Munich Motorsport catching up with Lada Sport Rosneft 2016, as are 2015 Rosneft Lada Sport, the second edition of that team. We also have a HAM category championship to track, which are drivers that at the start of the season did not finish in the top 5, and that includes Ollie Hansen at the top of the standings, quite some way ahead, 48 points exact, ahead of Stephen de Gravelia, who in this latter part of the season has been very, very quick. So he has been catching up. He was as low as 8th at one point in this championship, so it's a big comeback from Stephen de Gravelia. Roy Plummer, the defending AM champion, did have a pretty good outing at Twin Ring Motegi, and he is catching up. He is in 3rd place, with Anastasios Georgiadis. A few penalties along the way for him, but he's in 4th place, with Elliot House in 5th. And that is the housekeeping out of the way. And we are underway now with qualifying. Drivers already squabbling for track position. So the thing is with Shanghai, it's a very draft effective track, particularly that 1.2 kilometer straight. So you're seeing the Chevrolets trying to get behind the Ladas, trying to get behind one another, but you're seeing the Ladas, they themselves also want a draft. So it's going to be very interesting. But you can see here, Lee Horne and Jamie Dorey squabbling for position, and they're already slowing down to try and let one another by. This is going to be quite interesting. It's going to be a little bit like Formula 1 when they back themselves up in various corners. Lee Horne has decided to go on and decided not to bother with draft, but you can see David Kernohan and Jamie Dorey here really squabbling for that draft. And we are going to have an onboard lap of this track, and the person who's going to give us an onboard lap, well, it was going to be Lee Horne, but he spoiled his opportunity as he stopped here. I'm not quite sure what he's doing, but it's going to be David Kernohan. I don't think he's given us an onboard lap of any track yet this season, so he will today. Here we go, of the Shanghai Audi International Circuit, as it's now called. Here we go, plunging towards turn 1. We go a long right-hander. There's technically 2 turns, but I count it as 1. It just keeps going, and now it tightens into what is referred to as turn 2. And then straight away a swing to an almost even sharper turn 3. We don't go left, we go straight on here for the intermediate WTCC circuit, which was also used for the V8 supercars back in the day when it visited here. Through a small chicane there over a crest, and out into the right-hander, technically known as turn 8. Another long sweeping hander, right-hander to be precise, and left into a sharp turn 9. It is a track very intensive on the tyres. Short shift up to 3rd, getting into the apex of turn 10 there was David Kernohan. Along a fairly long straight, the 3rd longest straight on the circuit, deep braking into turn 11, into 1st gear, and then straight away right into turn 12. All the grandstands on the left there, which are great looking with all the fans there. Long turn 13 here. Unload the steering flat out on the pedal, ease it out to the exit of the track there, and now onto the 1.2 kilometer straight that just goes on and on and on. Let's see how high this speed can get from David Kernohan. 240 kilometers per hour, 250. Can we get to 260 before braking? No, not quite. 258 was the final number we saw. Into the narrow turn 14 hairpin. Slight kink for turn 15 here. Slowest corner on the track was that turn 14 there. Now at turn 16, which is really tricky for track limits. A Formula 1 game, the esports series, we did see a lot of people impeding track limits here, but it's very strict on RaceRoom. And that is a lap of the Shanghai circuit with David Kernohan, 2nd in the championship coming into tonight's race. Now we can reveal the standings. Jamie Dorey throwing down the gauntlet straight away as the rear end goes sideways on him. A little bit of dirty air, it seems, from David Kernohan ahead of him. But David Kernohan dragging him along on the back straight there certainly did help him, as he's near half a second clear of David Kernohan. And his teammate, who was very close to him on the board in practice, is nearly 3/4 of a second down. It's Lee Horne. But the top 4 in the championship are the top 4 in this qualifying session right now. We've also got the battle of the AM category championship as well, headed by Stephen de Crevelle in qualifying right now, but his rival for the championship, 1st in the championship, Ollie Hansen in 7th, only 2/10 of a second behind. We did see some very close times in practice. We did see less than half a tenth. Yes, less than half a tenth between the top 3 in practice just preceding this session here. But already we are only 10 minutes away from the end of the session, 5 minutes in, a third of the way through. We've only done 1 flying lap so far. At the front of all this group, well, I thought he was, Stephen de Crevelle, slowing down to let some cars by. He would like some draft, it seems, and we are witnessing Jamie Dorey pulling along his teammate, although they have now recently become rivals in the championship. Jamie Dorey still finding the time and finding the sportsmanship to tow along his teammate, who has backed off on this lap as they're letting a few drivers by. Lee Horne seems keen to go for another lap. Jeff Perkis in the pits, 4th place at the moment. To see what he can do. 2 drivers that haven't set a time yet are Fraser Rossens and Roy Plummer. Roy Plummer, the defending AM champion, 3rd in the AM championship. So here we go. Lee Horne is going to start a brand new lap right behind on the toe of Jamie Dorey. Let's see what David Kernohan is up to. Not at the end of Sector 1 yet. It is coming up very, very shortly. Taking all the track and more. And Fraser Rossens now puts himself on the board in 6th place, but I don't think he had a draft. If he did, it was a very minimal one from the car ahead. But that was Mark Arrowsmith, do excuse me. Yeah, no draft for Fraser Rossens, so he'll definitely want one at some point in this session. As David Kernohan aborts his lap, he was near 3/4 of a second down from Jamie Dorey. So he resets the pits to get new tyres on. Let's see how Jamie Dorey gets on this lap. He has got Lee Horne very close behind. I think Lee Horne might be too close. Definitely for the back straight. He's not going to get a good draft if Jamie Dorey is only a little bit ahead of him by there. But there is the driver of Anastasios Georgiadis in the green Honda we can see ahead. That might help out Lee Horne down the main straight. And I think Jamie Dorey has an invalid Sector 1. Lee Horne close on Sector 1, but not even a personal best. If it's a personal best, it lights up green. If it's an outright best, it'll light up purple. So here we go. Georgiadis is pulled over, but not to let people by, to break the draft, it seems. And Jamie Dorey has broken away from Lee Horne on this sector, and that tells the truth. Lee Horne's sector time not very good in Sector 2. So it'll have to be another lap. But they're halfway through the session now, so they need to decide now or very soon whether to take on fresh tyres for the latter part of this qualifying session. David Kernohan has got that idea in his head, that fresh tyres are going to be the way to go for him. It is a track very intensive on the tyres. As we see Ollie Janssen take away top honours in the AM category on the grid, as he sweeps above Stephen de Gravelia, but only by 200ths. So very close between the two championship protagonists in that category. Roy Plummer still about to set his time now. He'll cross the line, and that still puts him 12th, quite a way down from his AM Championship rivals. Just behind Georgiadis and Arrowsmith, but he does want to be up towards the pace of de Gravelia and Janssen. Let's see how Jeff Perkis is getting on. Starting a new lap here. This will be a new flying lap. Take a nice early entry into turn 1. That's the line I liked going into turn 1. He's taking a nice early entry, getting out wide, ready for the entrance to turn 2 here. Taking plenty of that curve on the inside there was Jeff Perkis. Got a bit quiet in recent events, Jeff Perkis has. He's doing very well to get through the order, but he's not setting the world alight when it comes to race wins. Rarely does, to be honest. He's usually the dark horse at the field. Very difficult to overtake, but good at getting through the packs and good at scoring points. Half a second off the pace of Jamie Dorey in Sector 1. Not even a personal best. So it definitely shows how effective the draft is on this track. And that is what we're seeing. Jamie Dorey, so far, has really got the best of that. Slotting himself behind David Kernohan on the opening lap. With a 1:48.7 as well. I think that was even quicker than his practice time. If I remember rightly, the practice times were in the 49s. I might stand corrected on that. Slowing down here is Jamie Dorey. They're waiting for something, are the two next-gen racing drivers. David Kernohan, let's keep an eye on how he's getting on. Down the main straight here. He hasn't got a draft, so that's not really going to be helpful. Excuse me, I'm cracking open a can of drink. If you heard that. Not very professional, but thirsty work this. So we'll see if David Kernohan can improve in this third sector. There's not many corners to improve on, that's the issue. And these drivers struggling in the latter part of this session here. Jamie Dorey really did get the best draft. It's when everyone was bunched together on the track. If we look on the track map, the only group is Perkis, Dorey and Horne coming out of turn 3. But David Kernohan does go quicker. Only a few, I think it was only a few tenths quicker. But he did set a personal best, so it was a pretty good Sector 3 from David Kernohan. This is quite the queue. Jeff Perkis leading on Jamie Dorey and Lee Horne. Jeff Perkis doesn't really consider himself to be in a team. but he is quite pally-pally with Lee Horne and Jamie Dorey, so helping them out. He might be in two minds about that, I'm not too sure. He is battling with these two in the championship. This is going to be very, very good drafting from Lee Horne as we look from the centre of his car here. How high up the speed can he go? He seemed quite away from Jamie Dorey, and that was a few kilometres slower than what we saw David Kernohan do earlier on. David Kernohan 4 kilometres quicker on that straight, in fact, and Lee Horne had a better draft, it's got to be said. So let's see what Jeff Purkis can do. He is personal best in sectors 1 and 2. Can he extend his time here? He thinks he can. Yes, he can, but he stays in 4th, just behind Lee Horne, who doesn't go quicker on that lap. Let's see what David Kernohan can do on this lap. I think it's it's an aborted lap. It's an invalid lap. So this will be the final lap for a lot of these drivers. As I say, every time we broadcast RaceRoom on NXTGEN Racing and Crest Autosport TV, once that timer goes to 0, that is it. Qualifying is over. Finito. You're not allowed to complete your lap that you are on. It's quite cruel in that sense, RaceRoom is, but it is the way of the sim. It means you have to get your times in 15 minutes rather than 15 and a bit. The good thing of that, it keeps things running on time in the show. So, oh, someone has jumped up a lot of positions there. I think it was Mark Arrowsmith. It was Mark Arrowsmith jumps into 7th position, highest of the AM category drivers. Now I say this about Mark Arrowsmith a lot. Every now and again he pulls out a world-class performance in races. He did really well in race 2 last time at Twin Ring Motegi, for example, but he's just riddled with bad luck. Every now and again he just has a dismal race from incidents, not always his fault, definitely not always his fault. But he just can't shake off the bad luck in this series at the moment. But when it all lines up for him, he's on it. Jamie Dorey with a purple sector 1. Lee Horne really close to him as well. This looks good for Lee Horne as we're 1 minute away from the end of qualifying. This will be very timely indeed from Lee Horne if he can take 2nd place from David Kernohan, or even 1st place from Jamie Dorey. He doesn't. He takes 2nd place, just over a 10th behind his teammate, who I think did a better time that time. Let me see if we can see his last lap. No, Jamie Dorey didn't improve his time. He's quite some way back, but Lee Horne did improve his time. Very impressive from Lee Horne as he resets to the pits. Now, can David Kernohan answer? No, he can't. That is it. Kernohan will be 3rd on the grid, as will Jeff Purkis. Mark Arrowsmith, I don't think he's going to get the end of this lap, and Georgiadis has completed his qualifying. So the only driver left is Mark Arrowsmith, and I don't think he's going to get to the line. And in fact, it's an invalid lap time anyway. So our grid is, as you can see, on the tower on the left here. And there we go. There are the qualifying results. Jamie Dorey takes pole position here from Lee Horne in 2nd. David Kernohan takes 3rd from Jeff Purkis in 4th. The championship rivals, the top 4 in the championship, in the top 4 of qualifying here. Ken Avalov in 5th, followed by Fraser Rostance. Mark Arrowsmith, highest of the AM category drivers. Alongside him will be Ollie Jansen. Stephen de Gravelia in 9th. Ian Deeney 10th. Anastasios Georgiadis will line up 11th, and Roy Plummer will line up back in 12th. Well, an interesting qualifying session indeed, and it's the Chevrolets up top, and it's not what we expected, I will be honest. I really expected the Ladas and the Hondas to dominate here, but it just hasn't been the case. And drivers pulling out to practice their starts. They are allowed to go over the white line on RaceRoom. It's not very restrictive of that on RaceRoom. Just answering a comment in the YouTube chat. Tom Lee, no, Neil Crave is not racing tonight. I don't think he's racing the rest of the season either. Unfortunately for yourself as a Neil Crave fan. But the racing's still going to be exciting, ladies and gentlemen. It has been all season long. Hasn't failed to disappoint. see drivers getting a little bit warmed up, but people tend to use these 2 minutes of warm-up a little bit differently. Some people like to use it for starts, practicing their starts, because there is launch control on these cars, and so people like to get, you know, a little bit acclimatized to the track conditions, because it does change transferring from qualifying to the race. We've got a 15-minute race coming up very, very shortly. This is the itinerary for tonight. We've just completed qualifying. 15-minute sprint race coming up now, and then almost immediately after will be another 15-minute sprint race. And the feature race will be coming up later on, about 10 past 9 o'clock UK time. We have got another 55 minutes of competitive driving to watch. News on next season, there may be an announcement next week on next season for this particular league. So keep your eyes on Crest Autosport and NXTGEN Racing for an announcement on that. But we are about to go here for the World Touring Car Challenge, hosted by Crest Autosport and NXTGEN Racing, sponsored by Apex Tracks. This is round 10 at the Shanghai Circuit Intermediate Layout. On behalf of Crest Autosport and NXTGEN Racing TV, welcome along. My name's Alex Everitt, your commentator tonight. We'll be getting underway very, very shortly as drivers grid up on the grid here. And all drivers are lined up. It is Jamie Dorey on the front row here. Lights are red. Away we go. Not a bad start from Lee Horne on Jamie Dorey's inside here, but as we come up towards turn 1, who will have the best run? It will end up being Jamie Dorey, and Jeff Perkins takes third place at the moment from David Kernohan, taking the inside going into the very long turn 1. And Jeff Perkins is through. Oh, car off on the grass there. I think that was Heike Navalov or Mark Arrowsmith, and a big move from Ian Deeney on the inside of Ollie Jansen here. Up towards the chicane, Jamie Dorey still leads from Lee Horne, and Lee Horne cuts the track a little bit there, as does Mark Arrowsmith. We're going to see a lot of impeding of track limits on those two corners back there. It's very easy to cut there, and it's quite deceptive going over the hill. And Lee Horne at some point needs to serve that slow down penalty. It will be quite hefty. It's quite strict on this track. And Jeff Perkins takes the inside. He knows he's got to slow down, but he can't get him onto the brake. And the Lada, historically through this series we've seen, is significantly weaker on the brakes than the Chevrolet. Oh, Jeff Perkins on the inside of Lee Horne. A little bit of a contact on the quarter panel there of Lee Horne. And he has the inside, and we know the Lada has the upper hand of straight line speed. So down the main straight we go. Jeff Perkins, is he going to edge ahead just yet? I don't think he has just yet. And David Kernohan now makes it 3 wide. Look at us going down into the hairpin. David Kernohan, latest of the breakers. And through he goes. 2 in 1. Fantastic from David Kernohan. Big move indeed. Lee Horne remains in... Well, doesn't remain. He drops 1 place to 3rd. And Jeff Perkins, he was looking to get into 2nd. He now drops to 4th. Fraser Roston's looking very, very keen on this battle ahead of him in 5th place there. Lee Horne guards the inside from Jeff Perkins, who has the outside, the opposite line of what he had on lap 1 against David Kernohan. And Fraser Roston sneaks up the inside of Jeff Perkins. Perkins left the door open there, and Fraser finding his way through, goes a little wide for the next corner. And Perkins is able to lock it on the inside and keep it ahead of the Honda driver. While all this is happening, Jamie Dorey is pulling away, being allowed to pull away by these drivers. He's near 2 seconds clear already. Heading the AM category at the moment is Mark Arrowsmith, only a little bit ahead of Stephen de Grivelia. And that's a slow down to serve, same as what he did on the first lap. You've got to be careful if you repeat the same offence of cutting the track 3 times. I think it's 3 times anyway. It does give you a worse penalty. which I believe is a drive-through penalty, so you've got to be really careful. Definitely on this track where it is quite deceptive at times. Down the main straight here, what can we expect from Lee Horne here? That Lada pulling away was my guess, but let's see how Jeff Perkis will get along. Lee Horne goes to defend the inside. Into the corner we go. We haven't got great camera angles on that part of the track, but Lee Horne defends successfully that third place he's holding. He dropped back a significant amount from Kernohan, so he has to make up his time after that main straight, which is on every other corner. Quite a trail of cars here, headed by David Kernohan here, who actually caught up with Jamie Dorey a little bit on that lap. Invalid time from Jamie Dorey, but a 1:49.8, which is the fastest lap of the race, I believe. Yes, it is, from David Kernohan. Got Lee Horne hot on his heels. Lee Horne much quicker through turns 1, 2 and 3 here. As we mentioned many times, the twistier part of the tracks, the Chevrolets are quicker, but the faster parts, i.e. the long straights, the Lada really eats everyone alive. Jamie Dorey will be conscious of the gap shrinking between himself and David Kernohan. The beauty of sim racing is you've got a lot of tools and assets at your disposal, and you can see standings, relatives, fuel monitoring and tyre monitoring, that sort of thing. While sim racing is quite a benefit of sim racing, unlike real life racing, where you're limited to what you have on your dash display wheel. Jamie will have one eye on the relative, one eye on his racing. He pulls to the inside to break the toe. I think he did have a slowdown to serve. He did serve it offline, which he's meant to do. But I think he was doing that to break the little bit of toe that Kernohan was going to get. And now he's within a second of Jamie Dorey. Into the hairpin we go. Very close between second, third and fourth. No moves from any of them. 6 cars in a row here. At the back there is Heike Navlov, who missed last week due to illness, but back this week. Oh, Jamie Dorey's in the pits. Is this a drive-through penalty? Is this a drive-through penalty that I didn't actually notice? So he was in the lead. He's pulling into his pit stall. Has he not taken on enough fuel or something like that? He's very close between the top 3 here, but we'll try and keep an eye on Jamie Dorey here. He pulls into his pit stall. Now this is going to make him moves out to reverse grid as well, as it's 10. I think he was taking on fuel, and away he goes. He leaves the pits. Well, big drama here in race 1. It looked like it was going very much Jamie Dorey's way. I didn't see a penalty. Oh, look at this. Lee Horne trying for the inside. He's still thinking of getting the inside, but pulls out to the outside. Oh, look at this. Around the outside, and he outbrakes himself. Off he goes. And that's going to allow Jeff Perkis through. He's got to be really careful rejoining the track here. Lee Horne did the right thing there. He kept it on the inside. He'll still have a slowdown penalty to serve, but that allows the Ladas to stretch away. And look at Jeff Perkis here, all over the rear of David Kernohan. Down the main straight we go, plenty of the straight to go, and Jeff Perkis might be edging ahead here. Actually, it's Kernohan that has edged ahead. As we head into the hairpin, Kernohan guarded the inside very, very well there. Isolated Jeff Perkis to the outside, so he couldn't turn in or try and block David Kernohan. So well held by David Kernohan, and now Lee Horne has got a task. Over a second behind, he has got to reel them in, and particularly on this section of the track. Jamie Dorey is back on track, but he's miles behind, half a minute behind the leading pack to be precise. Now Jeff Perkis has got a big opportunity here to try and swipe a win away when it wasn't looking likely at the beginning of the night. Perkins' only race 1 win of the season came at Moscow, which was the track that he absolutely nailed above everyone. He was very quick in practice, very quick in qualifying, and he did very well in the races, including a race win. Other race wins he's had this season include Hungaroring Race 3 and Spa-Francorchamps Race 2. Whereas his rival ahead of him, David Kernohan, has 3 wins to his name. One at Spa-Francorchamps Race 1, the other Race 2 at Slovakia Ring, and the other came last week in Race 2 of Twin Ring Motegi. Lee Horne is catching up a little bit with these. It's got to be said he's broken away from Fraser Rostons, but Lee Horne, his win record, he has had 1 win from each of the last 3 races. Race 2 at Moscow, Race 3 at Sonoma, and Race 3 at Twin Ring Motegi. And the only other race win he's had this season, it was Race 1 at Paul Ricard. Defending the inside is David Kernohan. Jeff Perkins trying the outside of the hairpin. He's keeping the outside for the corner, but he's not able to get it there. Attempts an undercut, but it doesn't quite work. All this battling between them two is going to help Lee Horne catch up with them, particularly as on that part of the track, the Ladas are better than the Chevrolet. But on this part of the track, this might be where Lee Horne finally catches up to this pack. The final third of the race approaching. Jeff Perkins moves to the inside, but it's a little bit too far back. He's not able to go for a move. Kernohan, as it stands, will gain 4 points on Lee Horne in the championship. David Kernohan being second in the championship, Lee Horne being first. This is looking like a very good Sector 1 indeed from David Kernohan. Either that or a very bad one from Jeff Perkins, as he's been caught by Lee Horne and he's dropped back from David Kernohan. Oh, Horne trying the inside there. He was definitely thinking about a move going into turn 9 there, but it didn't quite work out. And Jeff Perkins had a very good run out of turn 10 there, as he's now right back on the rear of David Kernohan. Pulls out the slipstream to get a good sight of the corner and to let David Kernohan know he's there. So this could be a very interesting back straight here. You can write off Lee Horne on this back straight here. He just hasn't got the straight line speed in that Chevrolet. He hugs tight on the inside to try and just gain a little bit on these Ladas. But you've got to say, on this part of the track, this is advantage Jeff Perkins. He's got the draft and he's got the quicker car. Lee Horne just has to go through the motions on this part of the track, but that's really not going to bode well for him later on in the race. There's a big battle back there between Navalov and Rostons, but Jeff Perkins sneaks it up the inside going into the hairpin. We just about caught that, and into the lead at the moment goes Jeff Perkins. And he'll lead his first lap of the race here. Game on between him and Kernohan. He's been lining that move up for a few laps, and I think Kernohan left the apex open, and Perkins just snuck in there. Guards the inside going into turn 1. Hugs it tight on the inside. Not letting Kernohan get to the inside, because overtaking on the outside on that corner is next to impossible. It's quite impressive if you can pull it off. What can Lee Horne do though? He's got a deficit in straight line speed. Surely his move has to come in sectors 1 or 2. Kernohan using different lines here. I'm not sure if the car was upset a little bit going through some of these corners. Swap positions as Heike Navalov has moved ahead of Fraser Rostons. Into 4th place goes Navalov. He's been a bit quiet this season. He is in the top 10 in the championship, and he is one of the few drivers in the top 10 in the championship that haven't taken a win this season. Will that win come for Navalov, I'm wondering? And Lee Horne, you can just see those Ladas just stepping away. It must be demoralising, particularly on this part of the track. But very moralising, the opposite, on the rest of the track. That's the thing, it's a bit of a catch-22 in this Chevrolet. Into turn 14, yeah, 14 we go. Oh, Lee Horne went off then. Oh, and there's big contact between Fraser Rostons and Navalov. There was contact between them and it sent Navalov into the fence. There'd be big damage on that engine. So a very dramatic corner there. Lee Horne went wide, he braked on the grass and it sent him off. And Navalov, contact with Fraser Roston, sent him into the wall. And now he's dropped behind Stephen de Grevelier in 4th place now. And I think Fraser Roston's slow to let Navalov by, which if he has admitted to making the mistake in causing that incident there, that is good sportsmanship from Fraser Roston's to let him back by. There's a lot of damage on Navalov's car. Will he be able to hang on to that position now, though? But this is very good for Stephen de Grevelier, stretching away from his AM category championship rivals. And this could end up being one of his best results of the season. He's 8th in the overall championship. And his best result of the season is 5th, last time out at Twin Ring Motegi. So the Belgian driver, one of the most improved drivers of the season, it's got to be said. Roy Plummer is having a good race here. He's gained from 12th to 9th in this race so far, and he's real close behind his AM category championship rivals, Georgiadis and Janssen, just ahead of him. He's under a bit of pressure from Deeney and Arrowsmith as well. Arrowsmith has dropped down the order a bit to 11th. Going on at the front at the moment. Kernohan has dropped back a bit from Perkis, and Horne has definitely dropped back from that leading pack. We'll switch to the front very shortly because they might not make it to the line before the checkered flag is waved. A mangled front end on Navalov's car, the number 18 car, just passing us then. But no moves yet from this battle for runner-up in AM category in this race. They start their final lap. Kernohan attacking Perkis. Perkis adamant to defend the inside. The right line to choose for this corner as long as he doesn't wash out through understeer, which he doesn't. He holds it very well on the inside. Kernohan has to resort to trying a deeper line into the corner to try and get a good exit. Close between the AM category as well for 2nd place. Georgiadis real close to Janssen going through this corner here. Can Kernohan get it on the final straight here? Can he do what Jeff Perkis did to him a few laps ago? Perkis trying to break the slipstream straight away. Pulls back onto the racing line. Braking into turn 11. Gotta say, Perkis is looking real smooth in this race. From 4th to 1st, he wouldn't have expected that, I don't think. With Jamie Dorey getting the penalty, I don't think it was a penalty. I think it was taking on fuel, overtaking Kernohan and Lee Horne, making the mistake to let them by. Can Kernohan get a good run on Jeff Perkis? I don't think he's close enough. Very late on the brake is Kernohan, but he has to abort as he was heading straight for the rear of Perkis and he didn't want to take him out. This most certainly might be Jack Perkis's win for the taking here. He just needs to get through this final corner. From 4th to 1st, a brilliant race driven by Jeff Perkis to take the win here. He'll definitely take that. Kernohan takes 2nd. Still points gained on his championship rival behind Lee Horne. 2 points gained to be precise. And coming through to take AM category honours and his best result of the season, Stephen de Grevelier. Heike and Navalov are welcome back to him in a very well-deserved 5th place. Good battling between him and Fraser Rostens. Did have a little bit of contact in there, but a good battle for 5th between them. Ollie Janssen takes the runner-up in the AM category with Georgiadis just behind. Plummer not able to make that move towards the end. And Ian Deeney will finish 10th and will take reverse grid pole position honours for race 2. But your race winner was Jeff Perkis, and these are the results of race 1. A fantastic race driven by Jeff Perkis, taking a very, very brave move into the hairpin to take the position from David Kernohan. Lee Horne taking fastest lap, but 3rd place. Stephen de Grevelier 4th place, and Navalov 5th. Reverse grid pole will go to Ian Deeney in 10th there. Jamie Dorey with, I think, was taking on fuel, finishes 12th in the end. We are going to go for a very quick break, but when we come back, it will be race 2. Don't go away, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back.
The GP Box is an online marketplace for motorsports merchandise and memorabilia. Browse for a whole range of motorsports products in all forms of motorsport. Take Formula 1 for example. There is a whole section dedicated to Formula 1 products from your favourite drivers, cars, teams or tracks from all eras of Formula 1. There are more series available, including WRC if you are a rally fan. You can even search for your favourite form of motorsport to see what products they have in your favourite forms of motorsport. Or, if yourself are a retailer in motorsport, you could set up your own shop within the GP Box to open up your products to a much bigger motorsport audience. Find out more at thegpbox.com.
Welcome back everyone to Shanghai Circuit, the Shanghai Audi International Circuit. The World Touring Car Challenge is about to resume, presented by Crest Autosport and NXTGEN Racing. So sit rep of what's happened so far. We've had race 1 and we're about to head into race 2. So a slight recap on race 1 through the results. Jeff Perkis took winning honours from David Kernohan. Lee Horne took 3rd, followed by Stephen de Grevelia. Heike Navaluf and Fraser Rostons battled for 5th and 6th. Ollie Hansen taking 7th with Georgiadis in 8th. Roy Plummer in 9th and Ian Deeney taking 10th, who will have reverse grid pole for this race coming up. Mark Arrowsmith finished 11th, and in 12th was Jamie Dorey from the lead pitted, and it was because he didn't put fuel in after qualifying. So he was on qualifying fuel, which was about 3 or 4 laps, but he came into the pits to get more fuel. A mistake a lot of us have actually made in RaceRoom. It's quite an easy mistake to make, but Jamie Dorey will be on the comeback for the remainder of the night here, and it might have a damaging blow to his championship chances. That one will. We will see. So we go, we're about to get underway for the second race of the night here at Shanghai for the World Touring Car Challenge, round 10 at Shanghai. On behalf of Crest Autosport and NXTGEN Racing, welcome along to the channels, whether you're watching on YouTube, Twitch or Facebook. Do give us a like, share, follow and or subscribe wherever you are watching. It very it is very much appreciated and very, very helpful to the channels. To keep bringing you this entertainment, we have Wednesday night IndyCar racing on the channels, as well as this Thursday night touring car racing. But we're about to get underway with the touring car racing here on Thursday for the second race of the night. Ian Deeney on pole position with Roy Plummer alongside in second. Away we go for race 2. Let's see if that was a good start for Ian Deeney as we head towards turn 1. He heads to the inside to defend his position going into turn 1, and through we go. Georgiades with a big bursting move into turn 1. Gets it ahead of Roy Plummer on the outside, and I think he has taken second. A brilliant gasping move on the throttle, late on the brakes to take that. Stephen de Grevelier bullish in the middle there, up into 5th place already past his championship rival, Ollie Hansen. Into the chicane we go. Oh, and Lee Horne is sideways. He just about keeps it going. But he's got Jamie Dorey on his inside, who gets through, as does Jeff Perkis. David Kernohan is behind, as well as Mark Arrowsmith. But how he kept that going is beyond me. Big start here from Ian Deeney. He's very good at doing this. Getting reverse grid poles and blasting away for victories. He did it at Paul Ricard, and I think he nearly did it at the Hungaroring some time ago. Janssen here trying a move on Stephen de Grevelier. We've also got Lee Horne on the inside of Jeff Perkis here. On the outside now for the long right-hander, which is not the best line to be on. But Lee Horne in his Chevrolet is very quick around these corners. He's almost pushing along Jeff Perkis, but as soon as they get onto the straight, that's when the Lada will start to pull away. Onto the back straight we go. Let's see. We've got Roy Plummer gaining on the Honda of Georgiades. He'll pull to the inside for a move on the green Honda. He is pulling along Fraser Rostins as well. He's moved himself up to 4th through the start there. Through we go. Roy Plummer holds the inside, and he has taken 2nd place here. Brilliant move there from Roy Plummer, the defending AM category champion. Who else have we got? We've got Jamie Dorey really bursting through the pack. He's up to 6th place already from P12. Brilliant start to this race for him. But the leader of lap 1 is Ian Deeney. Georgiades fighting back. And it's Fraser Rostins trying to get up another position. He was in 3rd, but oh, look at that. Georgiades with a big move up the inside of Roy Plummer, who left the door open. Slight bit of contact between the two, but Georgiades has broke back into 2nd place here. He'll have the inside for the next corner, and he will take it. And we've got Jamie Dorey alongside Stephen de Grevelier, and through into 5th place he goes. Oh, and it bunches up a little bit in the chicane here. Jamie Dorey's got to be careful. Stephen de Grevelier on the outside of the two of them. That's Rostins, Dorey and Grevelier there. But Jamie Dorey's the one that keeps hold of the outside and now has the inside for the next corner. That's 4th place for Jamie Dorey. Big moves from Jamie Dorey here. And look at Ian Deeney, so good leading from the front. He blasts away to nearly 3 seconds clear already. But look, Jamie Dorey's on the charge. He's already got the inside of Roy Plummer. This is real exciting racing from Jamie Dorey here. Holds the outside. Can he get it past Roy Plummer before the straight? I don't think he can, although it's very close. And he'll try the slipstream of the Honda, and I think he has got his way ahead of Roy Plummer. Yes, he has. Roy Plummer is left without a slipstream as he's got Fraser Rostins alongside. Rostins moves to get the slipstream of Jamie Dorey. Big move here from Fraser Rostins. Maybe Ollie Hansen is very late on the brakes, and he makes contact with all of them. He makes contact with Rostins, Georgiades and Plummer. Big instant here in the hairpin. And Georgiades is to the back. What was looking so good for him, he's sent back so far to the back, and Ollie Hansen waits to let them all by. He was just way too late on the brakes, so you could see he locked it up. Oh, that's definitely one the stewards are probably going to look at later as well, as it nearly compromised a lot of drivers' races there. Stephen de Grevelier got the better of all of them. He's now into 2nd place, and Ian Deeney is now near 5 seconds up the road. Stephen de Grevelier has never had a podium in NXTGEN Racing and Crest Autosport history. Can he get it here? Jeff Perkis up to 5th, towing along Lee Horne. David Kernohan has dropped back 1 place from the start, still in 10th. Mark Arrowsmith just ahead of him, who has found his way past Kernohan in recent laps. Jamie Dorey really hot on the rear of to Gravelia here, and Jeff Perkins with a big move on the inside of Fraser Rostons to take 4th place there. Dorey all over the rear of the Tom Coronel liveried Stephen de Gravelia. And through he goes. De Gravelia doesn't fight too much for that. He knows it's not his battle. And he lets him go. Stephen de Gravelia has got the championship protagonists on their way though behind him. But he is highest of the AM category drivers again in this race. Might have to move into pro category. So Jamie Dorey has now got 4 seconds to catch up with Ian Deeney. If he can get himself into 1st place, win this race from 12th to 1st, that'll be some going from Jamie Dorey. Fraser Rostons on the inside of Jeff Perkins. Perkins turns for the corner, but there's a Fraser Rostons in the way. Rostons has the outside, and I think he's isolated out there by Lee Horne. He pulls back in behind. Decided not to go for that. So going a little bit wide, going out the final corner there. I think you can go off a little bit on that corner. But Mark Arrowsmith and Kernohan couldn't. They got a slowdown penalty, and Kernohan is catching up with this pack ever so slightly. He's in the number 15 Lada we saw at the back of this train here. Horne is going around the outside of Rostons here, contending for 5th place. Jamie Dorey is really, really hitting the hammer down. He is within 3 seconds of Ian Deeney already. We're not even halfway through this race yet. Rostons rear end getting very loose on him through turn 8 there. Lee Horne trying the outside. The door closes a little bit. Rostons didn't really realise Lee Horne was trying to poke his nose in there. Now, if you're Lee Horne and David Kernohan and Jeff Perkins, you wouldn't be too worried about Jamie Dorey pulling away here, as Jamie Dorey lost a lot of points in race 1. They won't be concerned about that. They'll be more concerned about each other. Perkins and Horne will be happy to see Kernohan back here in 9th place, as he's got to find a way past Navalov here. Kernohan takes the outside route for the hairpin. Out breaks the Honda, but the Honda's still on the inside. Down on the power. Navalov keeps it ahead of Kernohan for now. End of lap 4, start of lap 5. Jamie Dorey is 2 seconds behind Ian Deeney. And look at this, Jeff Perkins is on the outside of Stephen de Gravelia. A good run out the final corner. Into 3rd place goes Jeff Perkins to take the podium away from Stephen de Gravelia, who's under threat for 5th and 6th now. Fraser Rostons sneaks it to the inside. A brilliant move from Fraser, and now Lee Horne is threatening the Belgian driver. Out of the corner we go. Lee Horne with a big run around the outside. He's found the inside for the chicane. He holds the inside. Through goes Lee Horne. That was a very, very clever positioning and appliance of his throttle going around turn 3 there to take that position away from Stephen de Gravelia. But down to 6th the Belgian goes. The dream of a podium has gone away in a flash like that. David Kernohan, not much advancement yet, although he's on the inside of Navalov again. And he takes the position. Navalov switches straight to the inside to try and take it back. Navalov late on the brakes. He's trying to make a move straight away on Roy Plummer. He does so, and he gets in front. Very bullish move, but he made it through. Oh, big contact from Navalov on Roy Plummer. Getting beaten about a little bit here. And Kernohan, sorry, I keep saying the wrong driver. Kernohan up 2 places on that little stretch of road there, but Jamie Dorey, the race runner-up here so far, on the outside already of Ian Deeney. Trying to make an outside move. And it hasn't quite worked out. No doubt the move is going to come very soon from Jamie Dorey. A good run out of this corner is what he needs. And this part of the track, the Chevrolet is so much better than the Honda anyway. Into the long right-hander. Ian Deeney holds 1st place for the time being. 5 minutes to go is Ian Deeney going to be able to hold off Jamie Dorey? He has to really defend in these tight corners here. He knows he'll get the advantage on Jamie Dorey going down the main straight. But will it be enough? Will it be enough? Jamie Dorey from 12th to 2nd so far, and a very good run out of the chicane. I think he's already secured it. Holds the outside, still faster through the corner than Ian Deeney, and have the inside for the next corner of turn 9. He's done it. Jamie Dorey takes the lead here at Shanghai for race 2 of the World Touring Car Challenge in round 10. 12th to 1st. What a drive in this race it's been from him. Credit to Jeff Purkis though, he's gone from 10th to 3rd and has got ahead of his championship rivals in doing so, Lee Horne and David Kernohan. You could still consider Jamie Dorey a championship rival of these. With drop rounds to consider, it might favour Jamie Dorey and catch up with them upon the completion of race 11 next week. That's when the next drop round will be in place, and the drop rounds will then be set in stone. Jeff Purkis trying to break the slipstream of Lee Horne. Even though the Chevrolet... Oh, he's gone straight on. He's broke way too late for the hairpin, and he's gone straight on. And that concedes a lot of positions, including to David Kernohan. No, it hasn't. Kernohan stays behind, who I think had a slowdown penalty. But it lets by Lee Horne. Horne has been gifted more points in this championship. It's been a very strange race indeed, this one has. Stephen de Grevelier back into the top 5 as Jeff Purkis is on the inside of Kernohan, trying to get the inside of de Grevelier, who's leaving the inside open. Purkis sneaks back in. This will put him straight back into the top 5. Yes, it does. But that top 3 slipping away as we descend into the final few minutes, final few laps of this race. Kernohan alongside Stephen de Grevelier, who drops him down to 7th place. Up to 6th goes Kernohan. He's made slower advances than other drivers, but he's catching up with his rivals. Off a bit too wide there was David Kernohan. Slow down penalty. There's a lot coming at this track, as it is quite easy to run wide here at Shanghai. It's a bit deceiving how wide you can go, and then bam, you've got a slow down penalty. But normally the slow down penalties on RaceRoom can fall by braking a little bit earlier for the corners and easing off a little bit through the corners. Ian Deeney sadly lost the race lead earlier on, but still holds 2nd place. A podium would be good here for his championship bid. Trying to get himself back into the top 10. He was 10th actually coming into tonight. Trying to get himself in slightly higher positions. At one point Ian Deeney was 6th in the championship. David Kernohan catching up with one of his championship rivals, Jeff Purkis, coming into tonight. There are only 9 points between them. 7 points after race 1, and after this race it could be 5 points between them. And Lee Horne could be breaking away ever so slightly with his good performance right here, right now. Could take it beyond 20 points between them. In fact, it would take it to 24 points clear for Lee Horne's championship lead, but that is without considering drop round. That is just relative to what the standings are right now and the points they'll accumulate tonight. Because it's a smaller grid, it's a little easier to avoid it being a drop round. The only thing that will make it a drop round is if you have a DNF. There probably will be one more lap, but what a drive this has been from Jamie Dorey. He got driver of the day last week, and he said to me again he's trying to get it again this week. I very rarely award it to the same driver 2 weeks in a row. I think the only driver that actually done that is Ayman Hakim in the Euro TCR last season. But if Jamie Dorey does this kind of performance in race 3, I might have to give it to him. We'll see. We'll see. There are other drivers who are doing very well. Ian Deeney holds second place at the moment in this race and done very well to get himself 10th and reverse grid pole for race 1. Jamie Dorey. Jamie Dorey started celebrating and the race hadn't ended. If he messed that up again, I'd have really, really ridiculed him in Discord after this race. But he has to carry on for another lap. And now second place is on between Ian Deeney and Lee Horne. It will be a full reverse grid as long as all 12 cars finish. And Mark Arrowsmith has just moved ahead of Roy Plummer. That puts Mark Arrowsmith second in relative to the AM category in this race. So a good performance from Mark here. Lee Horne trying always to get by Ian Deeney. He's running out of time. That car, that Honda Civic, is quick down the straights, and Lee Horne might be losing the opportunity. He's very close to the rear as we approach the hairpin. He's going to pull out to try and outbrake the Honda going into the hairpin. Deeney very late on the brakes. Can he hold it to the apex? Yes, he can. I think Ian Deeney might have done near enough to try and hang on to second there. Let's see how Lee Horne gets on down this main straight here. A good run out of here is what he needs, and he got a pretty good one then. But the Honda, will it start pulling away here? Ever so slightly does. Tries to break the slipstream. Can't quite. Lee Horne knows where he's going. Lee Horne might be close enough to make a move going into the hairpin here. It's going to be very close between these two. He takes to the outside. Late on the brakes. He has the outside, but I don't think it's going to be close enough. Although he tries an undercut, and he gets a good blast out of the corner. Has the outside for the next corner. Ian Deeney's going to try and hang on to it on the inside. Lee Horne takes the position, but he runs wide. That's going to allow Ian Deeney back through. Jamie Dorey is our race winner here, but has Lee Horne got a slowdown to serve? He takes it. I think that's a provisional second place for Lee Horne. It depends on the slowdown penalty condition. Might it drop him 30 seconds like it usually does? I'm not too sure, but a big battle between him and Ian Deeney at the final lap there. Credit to them. But a stunning race win from Jamie Dorey from last to first. And there we go. That is confirmation that Lee Horne was classified, did not get a slowdown, or if he did, he served it somehow. Second place for him, but a win for Jamie Dorey from last to first. Ian Deeney third, followed by Fraser Rostons. Jeff Perkins takes fifth from David Kernohan. Stephen de Grelli will take seventh with Navalov in eighth. Stephen de Grelli, by the way, first of the AM category drivers in the field. Second of the AM category drivers, 9th overall for Mark Arrowsmith, with Roy Plummer rounding off the top 10. Georgiadis will be 11th, and he'll line up on the front row in second alongside pole sitter for race 3, Ollie Janssen. That has been race 2, ladies and gentlemen. And this has been the World Touring Car Challenge so far. When we come back, it will be race 3 of the night, and it will be a 25-minute feature race. Stay in your seats, actually put the kettle on, make a quick cup of tea, and we'll be back in about 10 minutes time for the next race. Don't go away.
The GP Box is an online marketplace for motorsports merchandise and memorabilia. Browse for a whole range of motorsports products in all forms of motorsport. Take Formula 1 for example. There is a whole section dedicated to Formula 1 products from your favourite drivers, cars, teams or tracks from all eras of Formula 1. There are more series available, including WRC if you are a rally fan. You can even search for your favourite form of motorsport to see what products they have in your favourite forms of motorsport. Or, if yourself are a retailer in motorsport, you could set up your own shop within the GP Box to open up your products to a much bigger motorsport audience. Find out more at thegpbox.com. The GP Box is an online marketplace for motorsports merchandise and memorabilia. Browse for a whole range of motorsports products in all forms of motorsport. Take Formula 1 for example. There is a whole section dedicated to Formula 1 products from your favourite drivers, cars, teams or tracks from all eras of Formula 1. There are more series available, including WRC if you are a rally fan. You can even search for your favourite form of motorsport to see what products they have in your favourite forms of motorsport. Or, if yourself are a retailer in motorsport, you could set up your own shop within the GP Box to open up your products to a much bigger motorsport audience. Find out more at thegpbox.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to the World Touring Car Challenge presented by Crest Autosport and NXTGEN Racing. We're here on the 25th of November with 3 rounds to go, 2 rounds after tonight. We're here at the Shanghai circuit for what is round 10 of the championship. Huge thank you to our main sponsor for this championship, Apex Tracks, who are providing the main prize for this championship to the outright winner. It will be a model sculpture of the Nordschleife Green Hell, crafted by Apex Tracks from modern F1 technology. A huge thank you to them for being the sponsors of this and other Crest Autosport leagues. And a huge thank you to the other partners and affiliates of NXTGEN Racing and Crest Autosport that include PowerMax Racing, Track Racer, Fast R, 603 Autosport and Joyce Design. Tonight, as we mentioned, we're here at the Shanghai circuit in Jiading district in Shanghai. A huge project of $450 million to build this track, a track designed by Herman Tilke, and the layout of the Shanghai circuit was inspired from the Chinese character Shang, which is the first character in the name Shanghai. This track, 11 official turns, well, not official, Crest Autosport official turns, I'm calling it, 5 to the right and 6 to the left, although there are some turns that classify as 2 on this circuit, and it was a legendary circuit hosting the World Touring Cars back in the day from 2012 to 2016, hosting 5 editions of the Race of China, which has moved venues many times to as far as Zhejiang, Wuhan, and many other circuits. These are the cars they're racing tonight. We have 3 of these manufacturers on offer, which are the Chevrolet Cruze, the Honda Civic and the Lada Vesta, all with 360 brake horsepower and a fantastic legacy of touring cars that we once had just over 5 years ago. We are in the 25-minute feature race very shortly, and it will be a full reverse grid of the results from race 2, which we'll show you very shortly. Season we're undergoing. Next week we're off to Thailand for the Chang circuit for the penultimate round of the season. What a journey we've come on, from as far as Monza on the 16th of September, Paul Ricard for round 2, Spa-Francorchamps for round 3, Slovakia Ring for round 4, Hungary Ring for round 5 and round 6. The first half of the season tailed off in Austria for Salzburg Ring. The second half of the season kicked off at Moscow Raceway in Russia. Then Sonoma Raceway, aka Sears Point, was round 8 of the championship. Round 9 last week was at Twin Ring Motegi, and tonight we're here at the Shanghai Audi International Circuit. Next week, as we mentioned, we're at Chang in Thailand, and then it is the Nordschleife Green Hell for the final round of the championship in 2 weeks from today. And we rejoin the live action here at Shanghai. So a little bit of housekeeping before we get underway. We are going to remind you of 2 results from previous in the night, one of them being the results of race 2, of course, and qualifying. Now, the reason we're bringing up qualifying again from earlier on in the night, not because it's going to form the grid for this race, it formed the grid for race 1, but it does form the ballast that the drivers will carry into this final race of the night. Same as race 1 and race 2 and qualifying, it is running from 40 kilograms down in increments of 4. So Jamie Dorey will be carrying 40 kilos of ballast, 36 kilos will be carried by Lee Horne, 32 kilos by David Kernohan, 28 will be carried by Jeff Perkis, 24 kilos will be carried by Heike Navalov, 20 kilos will be carried by Fraser Rostance, 16 kilos carried by Mark Arrowsmith, 12 kilos carried by Ollie Ensign, 8 kilos carried by Stephen de Gravelia, and 4 kilos, which is carried over actually, will be carried by Ian Deeney. So that is the ballast that these drivers will carry. So Jamie Dorey shifting from a ballast amount of, it was 28 kilos coming tonight, an extra 12 kilos on his car, which will surely hamper his straight line speed. And will it hamper his progress? Not too sure, as he's looking very racy tonight, is Jamie Dorey. If you put enough fuel in the car, that is. Sorry, Jamie, I had to bring that up. Now, they're the results of race 1. So what we'll do is we'll get the results of race 2 on your screen. On our screen, this screen, the screen. Now, it is a full reverse grid. for this final race of the night based on the results of race 2 here. So Ollie Jansen will be lining up on pole position, and alongside him will be Anastasios Georgiadis. Roy Plummer will line up third with Mark Arrowsmith alongside him in fourth. The third row will be taken up by Heike Navalov and Stephen de Gravelia. Row 4 will be lined up by David Kernohan and Jeff Purkis. Row 5 will be Fraser Rostens in 9th, and in 10th will be Ian Deeney. And then line up in 11th will be Lee Horne, and at the back, again, will be Jamie Dorey. Now, he made it a last to first race in race 2. Can he do it again in race 3? That's going to be the main thing for a lot of us fans and viewers to watch. Can he do it? Or will it be Lee Horne getting redemption for race 1? Will it be Jeff Purkis getting a repeat win from race 1? Or will it be David Kernohan taking a race win here? The last, just looking at it, this is how exciting the season has been. I'm looking through all the season results, and there has only been one race this season where there has been a repeat winner in the night, and that was Monza at the start of the season for round 1. That was by William Barrera. Since then, we have had 3 different winners in the night. Very exciting indeed, and just proves how exciting these cars are actually to drive. They're not the most popular of cars. It's because they're so difficult to drive. They're not your traditional touring car that you can just throw into the corner. You have to be so eloquent with them, gentle on the throttle. You have to set up the car very, very precisely. But the reason I brought up that stat is because I am predicting, if I was in the bookies, I'd be putting my money on Jamie Dorey taking a win in this race. Now, another thing that's going to be for the drivers to consider is tyre wear. It's a 25-minute race on a track that's very, very mean on the tyres. So it's going to be a very, very interesting one to watch indeed. So a quick run through the grid again. Ollie Jansen will be lining up on pole with Georgiadis alongside Roy Plummer third from Mark Arrowsmith. 5th will be Heike Navalov. 6th, Stephen de Gravelia. 7th will be David Kernohan. Jeff Purkis will be 8th with Fraser Rostens 9th. Ian Deeney 10th. Lee Horne in 11th, and Jamie Dorey at the back of the grid. We're about to get underway for this final race of the night here at Shanghai Audi International Circuit for the World Touring Car Challenge presented by Crest Autosport and NXTGEN Racing. And here we go. We're lined up on the grid for the 25-minute feature race. Ollie Jansen is on the right. On the left is Anastasios Georgiadis. Lights are red. Green we go. Not a bad start from Ollie Jansen indeed, but a pretty good start from Anastasios Georgiadis. He's finding his way to the inside as we approach turn 1. Can the Greek take the lead into turn 1? Yes, he can. Through he goes into the lead for what I think is the first time this season. Brilliant start to the race from him. Up into third straight away goes Mark Arrowsmith. Through we go. Oh, and there's a big crash at the back. It's Stephen de Gravelia. He spins round at turn 3 there. What was looking like a very promising night for him has gone away, and Jeff Purkis is wide into the chicane. He goes straight on to resume. Can he avoid the traffic? Oh, they just about avoid him, it looks like. But big drama on this first lap. Roy Plummer right in the middle of all these pro drivers. He's got Lee Horne on his outside. He's sideways into the turn 9 here. And a big shove up the rear from Fraser Rostens there with Jamie Dorey on his outside as well. At the front, Georgiadis still leads, and he's got Ollie Jansen hunting him down. Kernohan makes a move for 4th place past Heike Navalov. Through he goes. Behind him is Lee Horne and Jamie Dorey, already up loads of positions. Jamie Dorey already looking to get halfway up the field on the first lap. Out of turn officially 13 we go. Big start there from Anastasios Georgiadis. Earlier off the launch control button than Ollie Jansen. Oh, look at this. This is Navalov going for a retake on David Kernohan. Finds the inside. Who's able to get on the throttle earlier? It is Navalov. Past he goes and back into 4th place. Big battling back from the Swedish driver. And there we go. Up into the top half of the field already is Jamie Dorey. Just ahead of his teammate, Lee Horne. And at the end of lap 1, Anastasios Georgiadis leads the race. And I think it's the first lap he's led of the season. Oh, Jamie Dorey trying to poke his nose up the opportunity that presented him on the inside of David Kernohan. Didn't quite work out. Kernohan had it covered. Oh, and sideways there. I think that's Ian Deeney. On the brakes, it just snapped sideways on him. He has to let Jeff Perkins go through slow down penalties, of course. Down back into 11th he goes. Georgiadis still leads here from Janssen and Mark Arrowsmith in 3rd here. Jamie Dorey is going to be coming, and so is Kernohan. So is Lee Horne. It's going to be very interesting to see which of these 3 drivers is going to break through to try and take the win here. If they can take the win. The AM category drivers all at the front here, the top 3, doing very well so far. Very well. Georgiadis doing well to hang on to that front spot at the moment. Jamie Dorey on the inside there. It's a very unconventional exit from turn 13. Flashing the lights there on David Kernohan. I think that's just to let him know that he's still there. Rather unsurprisingly, Kernohan, Jamie, I think he knows you're there. Kernohan very late on the brakes, had to check up a little bit behind Navalov. Dorey to the outside of Kernohan, but he's pushed out almost to the off side of the track. Kernohan will be keen to keep not only Jamie Dorey behind him, but Lee Horne. Oh, and very slow on the inside there is Navalov. He might have been serving a slow down penalty. This could be let in by David Kernohan, but they're side by side going into the corner. Jamie Dorey sees the inside open up, but Kernohan has covered it off. A little bit of a nudge up the rear. Oh, he's got to be careful here. Jamie Dorey needs to be careful he doesn't shove him off and get past him that way. He doesn't. Kernohan is able to keep hold of it. A lot of argy-bargy between them two, though. Georgiadis still leads at the top. Less than half a second between him and Janssen. This is quite the game of chess between Dorey, Kernohan and Lee Horne. Kernohan is trying the outside of Navalov. Coming around turn 8. Navalov goes off to defend the inside. A big undercut here from Kernohan. Finds the inside of Navalov. Oh, it didn't quite work out. And they check up. They all Constantinaed up there as Kernohan had to slam on the brakes as Navalov was coming straight back across. Guarding the inside still. This is the conundrum that Kernohan is in. He has to defend from Jamie. He also has to attack up front as well. While they're battling, it's not allowing them to catch up with the top 3 either. The Greek resident driver Georgiadis leads at the front from the Swedish driver Ollie Janssen, and then the Brit Mark Arrowsmith. Very quick down the back straight there was Ollie Janssen, not able to find it to the inside. Still only less than 10 seconds separating the entire field here. Still real close. And Heike Navalov has conceded a position to Kernohan and Jamie Dorey, but Lee Horne couldn't quite get past a big undercut here coming out of the last corner. I think Lee Horne might have got him here. Jamie Dorey goes across to help his teammate via slipstream. But they get through and into 4th, 5th and 6th they go, or will it be 6th as Navalov is fighting back on Lee Horne. Still has the inside for turn 2 and now turn 3. Navalov is back in front and Lee Horne with a big undercut, but has now put himself on the outside for turn 3. But we saw he was very good around the exit of turn 3. Will he hold the inside? Yes, he is. Oh, and there's contact between the two. Two are not going into that corner. And Lee Horne, a repeat move of what happened in race 2, couldn't quite pay it off here. It's bunching up a little bit in this battle here. Oh, we've got Lee Horne on the inside of Navalov. He gets through. And Jeff Perkis, 2 in 1 there. Brilliant undercut from Jeff Perkis. Through into 6th place he goes. I'll see you later, he says. Brilliant. And now fighting back is Lee Horne. Can he be later on the brakes on the inside of Jeff Perkis? Yes, he will be, but it's not enough. Perkis resumes in 6th place. Big move there from Jeff Perkis. Dorey's not yet able to find his way past Kernohan, and he's bunching up a little bit. They're catching up with the top 3 here. You've got Perkis and Lee Horne here squabbling for 6th place. Perkis will have his head down, ready to catch up with the top 5. And he's spooking Lee Horne into trying to choose a direction here. Not necessarily the best way of doing it, but hey-ho. Lee Horne outbrakes Jeff Perkis going into the hairpin. Perkis tries the undercut, but Horne almost stopped it on the apex. Perkis was still able to get a pretty decent undercut, but Horne has the inside for the final corner. Back into 6th goes Lee Horne. Dorey with no move yet on Kernohan. His big progress made through the field via race 2 is slowed down a little bit in this race, it's got to be said. As he has Kernohan, one of his main championship rivals, ahead of him. Or slight nudge on the rear, and it's put Kernohan wide. Can Kernohan keep it to the inside? He does just about. He keeps his nose in. And through goes Jamie Dorey into 4th place. Well, Mark Harris-Smith trying to get his way past Ollie Hansen. Jamie Dorey locking it round the outside. A little bit of contact between the two. Can Mark Harris-Smith keep hold of it? Oh, he tries to, and I think he has. Jamie Dorey not happy about that. But a big late break for Mark Harris-Smith to cover the inside. Oh, and Jamie Dorey locks up the brakes, and that allows Kernohan back through. I think Jamie Dorey getting a little impatient there behind the 3 at the top here. And that has conceded the position back to Kernohan. And it brings Lee Horne in, which might also be bringing in Jeff Perkis. Georgiadis has led 4 laps technically here. It could be a 5th here. He's broken away a little bit from Ollie Hansen. Not a huge amount, but he has broken a little bit of time. He's lapping quicker. Ollie Hansen, who sadly was the cause of a big incident, and it bunches up in the hairpin. Ollie Hansen washes out wide, and that pushes Mark Harris-Smith through into 2nd, and Kernohan has broken up into 3rd place. Janssen trying back on the inside, can't quite make it, and it bunches up here. Jamie Dorey finds his way round the outside of Janssen. That's going to be a lot of places lost in one go for Ollie Hansen, sadly. Across goes Jamie Dorey to get back in front of Lee Horne. Janssen has the inside of Lee Horne, but Lee Horne is later on the brakes. Kernohan has now broken into the top 3. Third place for Kernohan. 2nd place for Mark Harris-Smith. As he goes a bit wide there. Oh, and there's contact between the two. They go sideways, but they're able to keep it going. Kernohan's still trying to find the inside. Harris-Smith is trying to find his way to the apex, but he's gone sideways, and he has to let Kernohan through. He just puts his nose there, and now Jamie Dorey has got the undercut and passed Mark Harris-Smith. Trying to find it back to the inside. Harris-Smith has got to be careful here. He had Lee Horne on his outside there, and he realised very late. Horne on the inside, across the curb, and through he goes. And through into 2nd, 3rd and 4th go the main championship protagonists. 3 of 4 of them. Jamie Dorey up to 3rd from the back again. But he still can't shake off David Kernohan. 15 minutes remaining, and Georgiadis has now got the pro drivers approaching. Very early on the accelerator there was Lee Horne, who washed him out a little bit wide. Mark Harris-Smith was able to gain up a little bit going into the final corner. Janssen wide there, gets a slow down penalty, trying to guard his position from Jeff Perkis. Apex Tracks logo appear in our bottom right. Remember, you can purchase Apex Tracks track layouts from their website, apextracks.com, as it's spelt on the logo, of course. Check out their products, huge range of products, as many tracks from around the world as you can get. Now we resume this battle here, as Georgiadis has been caught First time his lead is under threat as Kernohan looked to the inside, or was it defending? I think it was defending from Jamie Dorey. As I said, this is the conundrum that Kernohan is in. He's defending from Dorey. He's attacking drivers ahead. No move yet from Jamie Dorey. He's not going to switch to the inside. As you see that Chevrolet just dig into the ground, braking for the corner. David Kernohan, big opportunity here for him to take the lead in the race. He's got Jamie Dorey on his inside, but he's got the upper hand of speed down the straight. Kernohan takes to the inside. Jamie Dorey getting on the grass there, not really sure why. But into the corner, on the inside goes Kernohan. This is a move for the lead. Oh, and Georgiadis turned across and the Lada was there. It bunched the top four up a little bit. Lee Horne is battling with Jamie Dorey still. But not yet finding a way through. Lee Horne needs to consider this. He needs to, I'd say he needs to get by Jamie Dorey to try and catch up with his main championship rival, who's now in the lead and breaking away. Now Jamie Dorey has passed Anastasios Georgiadis. Oh, and Georgiadis slows down. It might have been a slow down penalty. But Lee Horne, a very close call there, gets it through into third place. The top three as they were at the start of the night from qualifying. As it stands, 3 different winners again tonight. For the 9th race in succession, but the only person who can put an end to that streak would be Jamie Dorey here. Or Jeff Perkis, who's down in 6th place at the moment, finds the inside of Mark Arrowsmith. And through he goes. Very close between Dorey and Kernohan. Flashing the lights, trying to put him off. David Kernohan, cool as a cat though. As cool as James Thompson was. Bearing his livery from the 2016 Lada. Out of turn 13. On board with Jamie Dorey as we see the Lada really in its own element here on the main straight. But Jamie Dorey is not losing too much track from David Kernohan here. Might it be a big move to the inside on this hairpin? Not quite. He stays behind for the time being. Big battle here between De Gravelia and Navalov. Gravelia finds the outside, but I think he'll stay behind. Yes, he will. Slow down penalty for Lee Horne, running too wide off the exit of the final corner there, as was Mark Arrowsmith. Stephen De Gravelia has been the top of the AM category in all races so far. At the moment, it's Anastasios Georgiadis who now has Jeff Perkis on his inside. And through goes Jeff Perkis. The top 4 in the championship and now the top 4 in the race, but not in the same order. Now it's a straight fight for the AM category honours between Georgiadis, Arrowsmith and Janssen, closing in. Jamie Dorey is now alongside David Kernohan. On the curb he is. And David Kernohan, oh, there's big contact and Jamie Dorey spins. Kernohan goes off wide. And he's stuck on the outfield there. Where is Jamie Dorey? He's pulling back onto the track. Kernohan has to put it in reverse. Can he put it in reverse? He's not moving. Is he able to get it going again? I would love to see a replay of that, but we can't on RaceRoom. This is big, not only for the race, but for the championship. Now reversing is David Kernohan. I'm not sure why it's taking so long. Lee Horne takes the lead in the race. Jeff Perkis is moved up to second, and David Kernohan, is he able to get going? Has he got damage on the car? This is very strange indeed. Can't quite tell what's going on with David Kernohan at the moment. Horne inherits the lead here, keeping his nose out of trouble. Big incident between Jamie Dorey and David Kernohan. Might be one for the stewards later on. Dorey has dropped to 6th now, so a chance at a repeat win.
is fading away. Georgiadis battling for third place now with Mark Arrowsmith. Big opportunity for these AM category drivers to get themselves on the podium. Mark Arrowsmith to the inside. And through he goes to take the lead in the AM category listings. And third in the outright race. Georgiadis with a big undercut coming through turn 3 there. Big comeback here from the Greek driver. Having a brilliant race tonight. Arrowsmith takes to the inside at the chicane and takes back third place. What a battle between these drivers. And now Ollie Jansen is looking to join in with this battle. On the inside and through he goes into fourth place. For something's happened to Fraser Rostons. He's in the pits. I think that might be taking on fuel. Because I didn't see a penalty for Fraser Rostons. Unless I'm mistaken. But yeah, I didn't see one. So that Mark Arrowsmith holds third outright here, and he's getting away from Ollie Jansen. But Jamie Dorey is gaining on this crowd again. 7 minutes to go in this race, plenty of time to get himself back in the top 3. Gains rapidly on Georgiadis. It's been quite the dramatic race. David Kernohan is still coasting on the inside here. Pulls himself off to the outside. Will take to the pits, presumably. Yes, he does. I think there might be heavy engine damage on that car. He didn't hit the wall or anything. That's what I'm confused about. Lee Horne leads another lap here, and he's on his way to take another win this season. It will be win number 4. Win number 5. Stand corrected. Closest battle on the track for fourth place between 3 cars. Jamie Dorey trying to find the inside. Georgiadis keeps 5th place for the time being. He's having a good race here as Georgiadis. He has lost positions from where he started 2nd. He was in 1st for a lot of the race as Jamie Dorey now finds his way by. But Georgiadis is putting in a good shift here. Ian Deeney finds the inside and gets through. Ian Deeney, who started in 11th, is now up to 6th. So this is a good charge through from him. It's basically followed Jamie Dorey. You could tell that story looking at the standings right now. Hasn't quite been that way, but it's suggestive of it just looking at the standings without watching the race. Jamie Dorey has to try and get himself into 4th place. It's going to be quite a task to try and catch up with Mark Arrowsmith for 3rd place. Arrowsmith has achieved a podium in the past. Last season in the Euro TCR, he did get himself a podium. Can't quite remember off the top of my head what race it was. But this season, results have been away from him. His best result was 6th last time out in race 2 at Twin Ring Motegi. And a 7th in race 1 at Sonoma. He had 2 8th places at Hungaroring, which was a driver of the day performance from him. Oh, as Jamie Dorey and Georgiadis make contact. Through goes Jamie Dorey. No, Georgiadis is fighting back. I think Jamie Dorey might still hold the inside for turn 1 and 2. Jamie Dorey carries the inside. Georgiadis valiantly fighting back, but can't quite make it. Definitely a disadvantage on the outside for that corner. As the sun sets here at Shanghai, the sun's setting on our racing tonight. We have to nominate a driver of the day for tonight. This is a tricky one because Jamie Dorey's driven great tonight. But I don't think it has been the perfect night for him for the fuel mistake in race 1, the incident with Kernohan earlier on in this race. You know, not sure whose fault it was. If it was anyone's fault, it's just a tricky one. But who else has been a standout today? As David Kernohan is still in the pits. Fraser Rostons retires from this race, unfortunately. In fact, yes, I have decided that
my driver of the day today is going to go to Jeff Purkis. I think it's been an absolutely stellar night from him, swiping the win away from Horne, Dorey and Kernohan in race 1. A big charge up through the field in race 2. And has got himself into second here in race 3. Jeff Purkis is our Apex Tracks Driver of the Day award winner today. Not much else going on out on track here. The main one I want to watch is third place. We've got Jamie Dorey was charging towards Mark Arrowsmith, but he's back behind Ollie Jansen now. It's going to be a struggle for Jamie Dorey to get out of 5th place by the looks of it here. But Mark Arrowsmith could be on his way to not only topping the AM category in this race, although he's got a lot of pressure from Ollie Jansen coming. It could be a first podium of the season for Arrowsmith. It could also be a first podium of the season for Ollie Jansen if he can catch up. Big points for this AM category drivers. It's what they are looking for. Jansen now with a big push to try and stay ahead of Jamie Dorey and to try and catch up with Mark Arrowsmith. At the front, Lee Horne will be starting his final lap very, very soon to take his 5th win of the season. And will be the 3rd different winner tonight. With Jamie Dorey taking the win in race 2, Jeff Purkis taking the win in race 1. It's not over yet though. Lee Horne has to keep it on the black stuff. We've seen a lot of very uncharacteristic happenings tonight from certain drivers. And let's not forget Lee Horne had a few in race 3 at Twin Ring Motegi, but I'm sure you put that behind him and he'll be very, very well conserved here at this point in the race. Not going to be putting down quick lap times at the end here, but he will be trying to keep it quick enough to stay ahead of Jeff Purkis. Ollie Jansen concedes 4th place to Jamie Dorey, who had the inside for turn 1 and turn 2, it seems. And into 4th place he goes. Mark Arrowsmith still holds on to 3rd place right now. Oh, very sideways going through the chicane there. He's going to be shaking a little bit, knowing that 3rd place is on the cards for him and knowing that there is a big hitting pro driver. Big hitting's the wrong term, actually. Do excuse me, Jamie. Very fast Jamie Dorey approaching, and Mark Arrowsmith might be losing a little bit of grip here. The rear end just seems to be skipping out on him, but there's not many corners to go for him. Locks it into one of the tightest corners on the track. The final hairpin at the end of the long straight is going to be the key one for Mark here. We'll stay with this battle for the time being. We will switch to our winners eventually. Jamie Dorey was very good through turn 13. Can Mark Arrowsmith hang on to 3rd place here? He maintains the racing line. Will he go to defend the inside? Into the hairpin we go. Jamie Dorey makes no move just yet, but he's going to try and undercut. And Mark Arrowsmith might have covered him off here. We're going to switch to the winner though. Lee Horne will win race 3 here. Another win for the championship leader. Jeff Purkis takes 2nd place. And Mark Arrowsmith will take 3rd place here, his first podium of the season. Very well done for Mark indeed. Jamie Dorey did very well to try and get it, but it's 4th place for him in the end. Ollie Jansen takes 5th position from at the start of the race anyway. Anastasios Georgiadis put up a big fight. Stephen de Gravelia with the spin at the start makes positions back up to 7th. Heike Navalov takes 8th position from Ian Deeney. Roy Plummer last of the finishers in 10th, as David Kernohan and Fraser Rostens are retirees from this race. But your race winner here was Lee Horne, and your Apex Tracks driver of the day was Jeff Purkis. Big big night this was for the championship for Lee Horne. He hasn't, what the main thing is, he hasn't lost any points. David Kernohan has, as has Jamie Dorey, but Jeff Perkis hasn't. But Jeff Perkis didn't really gain many on Lee Horne in the first place in this round. In fact, I think Lee Horne might have come out of tonight scoring more points than Jeff Perkis did. Be very close between them anyway. But that's what will be on Lee Horne's mind. He comes out of tonight with a good haul of points. Drivers make their way to the pits. We will eventually have the classified results because we've got DNFs. And technically we haven't got a DNF in David Kernohan. He's still sitting in the pits, which means he's still driving technically. So Dave, if you can hear me, please reset your car. We'll go through the classified results here as we know what they are going to be. Lee Horne takes the win here from Jeff Perkis. Mark Arrowsmith takes third. Jamie Dorey takes fourth. Ollie Hansen fifth. George Ardis in sixth. Stephen de Grevelia in seventh from Heike Navalov. Ian Deeney ninth. Roy Plummer 10th. David Kernohan 11th. A non-finisher. And Fraser Rostons 12th. Race 1 winner was Jeff Perkis. And race 2 winner was Jamie Dorey. Coming up from 12th on the grid, by the way, to take that win. Well, everyone, that has been round 10 of the championship. The final 2 rounds of the championship are next, and they are Chang in Thailand, a very fast, wide, flowing circuit. It's going to be great to watch these cars on. That's next week, in 1 week today, and then in 2 weeks today is the final round of the championship at the Nordschleife 24-hour layout. What a round that is going to be. You can catch it all live here on Crest Autosport TV and NXTGEN Racing TV. For the World Touring Car Challenge in its concluding phase of the championship to see us out of 2021. My name is Alex Everitt. This has been Crest Autosport and NXTGEN Racing hosting the World Touring Car Challenge here at the Shanghai Audi International Circuit. We'll see you next time in Thailand. Until then, it's goodbye from us.